All right, the veil has been lifted, and live from the Kenyatta University Communication Center, this is KUTV Prime Time News on this 23rd day of June, the International Widows Day as well. And we have a lot in store for you aligned in your bulletin tonight. But first, we take a look at the highlights of tonight's. Kenya Kwanza leader Deputy President William Samoei Ruto put his weight behind the CBC curriculum, blotting out claims by his coalition partners of scrapping away the system. IBC boss Wafula Chebukati calls for an assembly of all cleared presidential hopefuls. Azimio la Umoja Council Chair President Uhuru Kenyatta calls the camp for a strategic meeting tomorrow. It's back! President Kenyatta flags off the World Rally Championships that grace Kenya once more and may stick around for quite some time. Alright, a warm welcome to the broadcast tonight that is also streaming live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya Live and KUTV Kenya on Facebook. My name is Emmanuel KUTOSI and I'm joined by Sharon Ombo in the sign language interpretation. Now, the competency-based curriculum has been embraced by the government and is set to see its first batch transiting to junior secondary school in January next year. In a bid to prepare the transition, the government is constructing classrooms across the country to facilitate a seamless 100% transition. Masi Mbida joins us from Bungoma County with this report on the transitional journey so far.
The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, says the competency-based curriculum is the way to go. Speaking today while having a consultative meeting with education officials, administration officials and contractors of Bungoma County on matters CBC classroom construction, the CS uploaded the political class for supporting the CBC curriculum. The CS later commissioned a new CBC classroom at St. Matthew's ACK Webuye Secondary School. CBC classrooms are being constructed in various secondary schools in the entire country to enable them accommodate double entry of students in secondary school in 2024, where there will be students joining Form 1 and another class of the CBC curriculum system joining junior secondary in the same institutions. In a bid to beat the 10,000 classrooms target while working towards facilitating a seamless 100% transition policy to secondary schools, the government has completed the first phase of constructing CBC classrooms, which involve the construction of 6,497 classrooms, and an additional 3,500 will be done in the next phase. The new classrooms, which are to cost 8 billion shillings, had their construction commenced last November and was expected to conclude by March this year, a deadline which was extended to June. Amid growing concerns, especially from education stakeholders over the government's preparedness on the junior secondary school transition, the CS said that necessary structures are being put in place to ensure the process is seamless. Flanked by Kenya Private Schools Association National Chairman Charles Ochome, Magoha said public and private secondary schools are ready to host the first batch of CBC students as they prepare to transit to junior secondary school next year. According to Magoha, it will be impractical to scrape off CBC since the government has pumped in a lot of money to the education sector to fund the new curriculum. Imbinda Masi, KUTV.
On another political beat now from the educational beat from a political arena, the Deputy President William Ruto has confirmed his full support of the competency-based curriculum system CBC in the event he ascends to power in August 9th. This comes only 4 months after his counterpart Musalia Mudavadi trashed the curriculum, claiming it was confusing. Ruto has, however, noted, as Kevin Omondi pans it out, that a discussion on the challenges to the system is long overdue with stakeholders in the educational sector.
The classroom teacher is talking.
Kenya Kwanza Coalition Presidential Flag Bearer Deputy President William Ruto has assured the education sector that his coalition fully supports the competence-based curriculum. While speaking in Catholic University of East Africa, Ruto said that his coalition will review CBC in their education plan moving forward, since he believes it is an ample opportunity for the country's education system to transit to world-class standards.
We also agree that 5 years down the road, it's time to review, in accordance with UNESCO recommendations, the CBC program, so that the issues that have been identified by teachers, by parents, by students, and other stakeholders can be subjected to a robust public conversation.
However, Ruto's sentiments have been met with a lot of controversy in the country, since they differ with those made by his counterpart Musalia Mudavadi a while ago in a rally in Busia, claiming that the ascent of Ruto to power after the August 9th polls would see a disbandment of the new curriculum.
Hii mambo ya kuleta confusion katika education sector, ya kupunguza na kuzungusha wazazi, hawajui tamu inaanza lini, inakwisha lini. Walimu hawajui mfumo gani watafundisha. Watoto wanaenda nyumbani wanaambiwa fanya homework ya aina fulani, na hakuna stima kwa nyumba, hakuna nini kwa nyumba. Mtoto hajui what is all this program.
On the other side, former Union of Teachers NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion trashed CBC, stating its introduction into the education sector was allegedly to end public schools' dominance in the country. His sentiments were complimented by Turkana Governor Josephat Nanok, who claimed the Kenya Kwanza government will instill an alternative system of education.
Hiyo masomo ya CBC liletwa kumaliza public schools. Tumeona Magoa sasa naomba private schools ati kufungua madarasa. Na nilipigana kwa hiyo kitu kabisa.
Muhimu zaidi katika mjadala huo na stakeholders, tutapata msimamo wa vile tutaendesha mambo ya elimu hasa CBC.
At the heart of hot political temperatures in the country, CBC controversy witnessed in the Kenya Kwanza campus left Kenyans with many unanswered questions. However, the Ministry of Education has stood its ground, promising to improve the rollout of subsequent grades in the curriculum. Kevin Omondi, KUTV.
And away from that, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson Wafula Chebukati is expected to meet all the presidential candidates next week on Wednesday, the 29th of June at the Windsor Golf Hotel for a consultative meeting. The candidates, who are William Ruto from the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, Raila Amolo Odinga from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, George Wajakoya of the Roots Party, and Wahiga Mauri of the Agano Party, may be accompanied to the meeting by not more than 5 people, as stated by Chebukati in a letter to the candidates. The meeting will major on the printed register of voters, election results, path, and harmonization of campaign schedules for the presidential candidates. So the chairperson of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition, President Uhuru Kenyatta, has called for a meeting of the outfit's members tomorrow at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. And as Morgan Nokero now reports, the meeting has the main agenda of discussing the Azimio Coalition party policies and campaign strategies ahead of the August polls.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition has been making efforts to ensure they succeed President Kenyatta in the August 9th elections. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who doubles up as the Azimio Coalition Council chairperson, has called for a council meeting to be held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center on Friday, June 24th, to deliberate on various strategies to win the August 9th polls as campaigns enter home stretch. In a notice to the coalition's council members today, President Kenyatta said the meeting will review the party's campaign strategy and plan to ensure their leader Raila Odinga clinches power in the coming general elections. This will be the second meeting after the one held on the 21st of April when the president chaired the inaugural meeting. At the time, the coalition was in search of Odinga's running mate. As that unfolded, the presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga led the coalition's campaigns in the northeastern region in Moyale and Marsabit counties in efforts to popularize his presidential bid in the region.
Hapa Marsabit taanza kwanza na mambo ya usalama. Usalama ni muhimu sana. Usalama ni muhimu sana. Sawa.
The leaders and the residents of the region asked Odinga to address the insecurity issue that he said will be his priority among other promises once elected into office. Morgan Okero, KUTV.
Now, the contest for the Western electorate support continues to get ever tighter. Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has promised the Kenya Kwanza leaders, particularly ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi and Ford Kenya's Moses Masika Wetangula, who are on course to amass a greater chunk of the region's support, a tough race come August 9th. While addressing a rally in Bukungu Stadium, where our reporter Brian Wekesa now lay it down, Oparanya criticized the Kenya Kwanza Brigade for not using the positions they have held to benefit the community.
The battle for the Western vote picked a new pace as Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya challenged the ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi to a tough political duel after hitting the ground to popularize the Azimio la Umoja in Western Kenya.
So these people keep on blaming Raila, not knowing that they also had positions. They acquired those positions through the support of Raila Odinga. What we are asking them, when they had those positions, what did they do for the Luyas or the Mlembe nation? Well,
he noted that their influence in Western electorates as Azimio is unmatched, and he is ready to prove to them that they have a long way to go to popularize Kenya Kwanza Alliance in Kakamega and other parts of the region.
But ile 70% hawatapata, hoja ni kuambia. Hawatapata, tuko hapa, tuone ya kwamba Azimio wanapata kura. You see, they created that competition. Wako kule na tuko huko. Mpaka tutafute kura yetu na hao watafute yao.
The leaders are fighting for the over 2.5 million votes in the Western region as per the IEBC register, with Kakamega County leading with 841,139, followed by Bungoma County with 644,223. Busia comes third with 406,569,000. Trans Nzoia follows closely with 395,741. Then finally Vihiga with 304,755 registered voters. The battle for the Western Kenya influence has started with the two coalitions claiming to have control of the Western region. The August polls will, however, prove who sways the Mlembe nation. Brian Wekesa, KUTV.
And back to the capital, where the Kenya Private Sector Alliance KEPSA today presented the Private Sector Economic Manifesto for the Nairobi County to the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance candidate for governor, Mr. Polycarp Igatho. The manifesto emphasizes 8 thematic areas that the private sector wants changed, among them being how the capital city is governed, including e-government compliance and enforcement of healthcare competitiveness, jobs creation, as well as culture and social inclusion. Other priority interventions include a working and sustainable urban mobility and transport system, an integrated urban land use plan, water, waste and solid waste management, and robust security disaster risk management agenda for the city. In presenting the manifesto, KEPSA hopes to influence both the presidential and gubernatorial candidates to incorporate the private sector economic agenda into their leadership manifesto.
KEPSA has been able to bring the private sector together and provide leadership in policy and legislative advocacy, but also the whole economic development and country development in the country. And people say, why don't you just meet the government or whoever you need to meet on ad hoc? You can never measure anything on ad hoc. You need to be structured, work on a document, and that's why we develop the national business agenda.
I will invite you, together with other people, to launch what I have registered as the Nairobi Foundation. The Nairobi Foundation will be an opportunity to aggregate the balance sheets and the P&Ls of all successful large corporates, medium-sized corporates.
And now a quick check into the status of COVID-19 in the country, where 559 people have tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 3,639 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 15.4%. Of the positive cases, 322 are male and 237 are female. The youngest is a 1-year-old, while the oldest is 97 years old. The total confirmed positive cases are now at 331,037, and the cumulative tests so far conducted in the country are 3,735,338. 213 people have recovered, and the number of total recoveries is now at 321,496. It is fortunate, though, that no patient has succumbed to the disease, maintaining the cumulative fatalities at 5,651 people. All right, on that report, you take our first break right here on KUTV Primetime News. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the discussion of the day on matters climate change. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know, while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits, the road ahead is clear before overtaking, stick to your lane, keep left unless carefully overtaking, you're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Magic. I need that magic. Somebody call 911. Anything for your girl, give me more. And I say my sugary body, den. Don't you know that I still care for you? Me flip flop got me needing more and more of you. Gonna be the one to catch you. Far East, welcome to the Empire. Far East, we call it find true love. You will see what your love has done for me. They call me academic ignorant.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
welcome back to KUTV Primetime News, and thank you for giving us your valued company. Now to our discussion of the night. It is undisputed that Kenya is rich in biodiversity. However, climate change, which is a global concern, has seen a threat face this resourceful and aesthetic wealth. Conservation, particularly environmental conservation efforts, are key in the efforts to remedy this, and the youth have quite the responsibility in this exercise. And in studio today, I'm joined by one among the young Turks eager to reverse the effects of this adverse change of concern. Jeremy Munene Kaburu is a research associate for the Transforming University for a Changing Climate Research Project in Kenya. Now, this young blood holds a master's degree in sustainable urban development from the Kenyatta University. Jeremy, welcome to our studios.
Thank you.
I hope you're well.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for having me tonight.
Yeah, and without taking so much time,
yes,
Jeremy, just tell us, what is the Kenyatta University Green Educational Hub all about?
Thank you. KU Green Education Hub was launched on 11th May 2022. It's a center of information. The hub stores materials to expose students to climate information. We store local case studies, documentation in short videos. We display portraits, and these materials are co-created with the students. We give the student the chance to participate in creating materials that expose their peers to matters of sustainability issues. Besides that, the hub engages in research, where we plan to go out to the community, speak to the community, identify issues that the community is facing in relation to climate change, and conduct evidence-based research and propose practical solutions. Practical solutions, we are calling them the locally led adaptations for each community, because the impact of climate change, they are unique to each locality. So when we conduct the research, we're able to tell this community, you have to engage in this solution or adaptation. Yes.
And looking at the event of the day, the Green Education Day, the event that actually is bringing up the idea and highlighting this whole story, what is it all about? It has been termed as a first for Kenyatta University. So I'm very curious to know, what is it all about?
Okay. The Green Education Day was conceived under the Transforming Universities for Changing Climate deliberation through the Kenyatta University Participatory Action Research Group. This is a team that brings together stakeholders from the university. We are talking the faculty members, the university students, stakeholders from the NGOs. We are working with the Pan-African Climate Justice. There is NEMA, there is the communities. So they came up and said, after we expose our students to curriculum that speaks on climate issues, we need now to provide them a platform for hands-on experience. So the Green Education Day provides a platform for students to create themed awareness on climate issues, where they can do awareness work, they can do tree planting, they can do community cleanups. So for the first Green Education Day that we are going to have tomorrow, the student will participate in awareness work. The work will start from the School of Education building through the Campanile up to the Kenyatta University Business Center. Apart from that, we are exposing them to the World Climate Simulation. Students will have to role play the international forums where the developed and developing nations come together and deliberate on how they are going to lower their emissions. So it's a day to provide hands-on experience to the student to build their energy in the fight against climate change. Yes.
And I'm liking what you're bringing out, because maybe ordinary or mundane level, we are usually used to understanding when you hear climate change, we expect only trees are being planted, and all that is around there is just tree planting. We usually actually focus more on tree planting. When you're talking about climate change, you're thinking about how you're going to plant trees. maybe give us an expose. Is this all that is encompassed when you're talking about climate change? I'm just thinking of how many trees are going to multiply.
Climate change mitigation is not about tree planting only. That's the simplest form you can do to mitigate climate change. There is more to that. There is the advocacy, where you need to talk to the communities, talk to the people that climate change issues are real, for them to understand. When they are planting the trees, they know, I'm going to plant the tree to mitigate what and what. You need to create awareness campaigns through schools activities. Like the Green Education Hub, we are using the eco tournaments here. So far we have held 2 tournaments at Kenyatta University. So the students get to learn as they engage in these fun activities. And the other thing, if you want to tackle climate change, you have to engage in research to generate evidence-based practical solutions. So it's not about tree planting only. There is more to that.
There's more to it.
Yes.
And I'm looking at Kenyatta University as an institution that is actually playing a key role in trying to actually create awareness concerning the effects of climate change. And on media outlets, a lot of them, there's been talk that universities and institutions are not doing much to actually create such awareness to the youth. Now, my question is this: on your perspective, do the youth have a role in looking at climate change? Because there is that perspective that this is something for the aged. Hii ni ya wazee. Unajua, there is that perspective. What the youth are sort of focused on is like more or less concerning the climate change issue. How are you viewing this?
That's a very good question. Youths have a huge role to play in matters of addressing climate change. One is through providing a platform for them to co-create the knowledge. Like I said, the youth, they have the energy to participate in these activities. Very and true. They are well informed. For us at the Green Education Hub, we have given them the platform to share, to come up with materials. For example, right now we have begun the activity of collecting a 2-minute video from the youth, storytelling on the impact of climate change here in Kenya. So you are already involving them with coming up with the teaching and learning materials. So youth, the involvement of youth, it's quite a crucial part to play in mitigating climate change.
And let me ask you this, Jeremy.
Yes.
What is your thought on integrating the whole subject of climate change? Maybe in our curriculum, you have the CBC coming out. What do you think about injecting something about climate change in that curriculum?
I think that's a very good step to coming to generating environmentally conscious generation. We are building up on the provisions of the Vision 2030 and the National Environment Policy of 2016 that state that we need to come up with a national examinable curriculum on matters climate change. And KU is taking the front seat in that. Under the Transforming Universities for a Changing Climate, we have now reviewed the leadership program to integrate 2 topics on climate change. One is the leadership and climate change. The other one is sustainable development goals. So institutions must mainstream issues of climate change into their curriculum. At the tertiary level, at the secondary level, at the basic levels of learning.
Very true.
Yes.
And something else I'd like to highlight. You've talked about climate change involving other things such as advocacy.
Yes.
We are headed into an elective period. Manifestos are coming out from every camp that is, or maybe set aside in going to take over the country. We've seen our president being present in very many tree planting exercises. We've seen him at Stockholm, where he was actually representing the country and even the East African bloc. There's a lot that we've seen from the current president. Now we are looking at a set of new leaders who are seeking office. But unfortunately, I have not had a manifesto or an idea being projected towards climate change. Is there a way that the Green Education Hub is moving to maybe even lobby them into involving matters of climate change into their manifestos?
That's a good question. I also haven't seen any political leader speaking on matters climate.
It's a very blind side. No one is actually talking about it.
Yeah, that's true. But for us at the Green Education Hub, we are coming up with a white paper. We are going to talk about the progress of the transforming university for a changing climate, the issues of coming up with a curriculum intervention at KU, at KISI, at KEMU, and we are going to lobby through the Commission University of Education for other institutions and seek support also from the political figures so that we have the political goodwill to roll up issues of efforts to combat climate change into other institutions of education. Yes.
And let me come now to your broad spectrum where you're focused on urban development.
Yes.
Me, I'm trying to get a picture of Nairobi as a young man who came and found Nairobi here.
Yes.
Now looking at it from you, from an experienced eye, when you look at Nairobi and the number of slums that are around it, the waste management systems, now do you think Nairobi was planned for, or Nairobi just sprouted? And let me give me your take.
Okay, actually I did my research project in Mukuru slum, and it was very difficult to find a master plan during when Nairobi was being planned or being started as a city or maybe as a town. For me, I think we have started to see issues of planning in the early 2000s, or maybe after the formulation of the Vision 2030 or the formulation of the National Climate Change Strategy. But in the past, I don't think there was a plan for Nairobi.
Okay, so it's good that you've brought that out.
Yes.
Because now I'm looking at a situation where it means we are in a mess that needs to be remedied. Now, looking at the fact that when a city or even an uprising, a town or the sort of comes up and there is no proper planning about it, there is an effect that will be met to the climate.
Yes.
I'm very sure, because if you're not able to manage the way everything, the ecosystem the way it is, there will be an effect to the climate generally, and it is a problem that we are facing even on a global perspective. Now, looking at the state as it is, with using Nairobi as a case study right now because we are in Nairobi, what do you think can be done to ensure we change the situation as it is right now, and maybe something that we may be able to apply even in the coming up of future cities? And Nakuru is about to be a city, is actually a city right now, and it still has a lot to look up in the master plan and everything to ensure it does not go the way that Nairobi was there. What do you think can be done?
Okay, a lot can be done, and I like there are several initiatives coming up to transform Nairobi into a green city. One is the planting of the trees, of the flowers under the expressway. People are seeing it as a controversial thing, but I think that's a very good thing to reduce our carbon footprint as a city and clean up the city. You know, there are cities like Mumbai where they have gone for almost 2 days without seeing the sunlight because of pollution.
My goodness.
So if we adopt such measures within Nairobi in many expressways, we are going to clean the air. People should view that as a good thing. The other something that's happening in Nairobi is the protection of the green spaces. We have seen now the government is more involved in protecting green spaces like Uhuru Park. I can't name quite, there are very many, but these are spaces that we call the buffer zone against the urban heat island. The city is, as the temperature is a bit higher than the hinterlands. So the green spaces, they are quite, they have begun to be protected in Nairobi. The other issue that can be addressed to transform Nairobi into a green city is the issue of waste. And the Green Education Hub is currently working on a proposal or a project to try and influence the political class and the private sector to come up with green intervention, like the clean energy. we are talking about solar, we are talking about weed, we are talking about biogas in the slum where they generate a lot of waste. So if we incorporate these issues of circular economy in the slums, we are able to cut the waste and transform the Nairobi into a cleaner city, invest more in cleaner production. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm looking at, there's something you've mentioned there about gases, greenhouse gases. You know, for someone who has not really understood what you're saying, or maybe may not be able to understand, what are greenhouse gases, and is it green gases? What the hell, what is all about that? Green gases are not literally green. These are gases that trap it at the atmosphere. They allow it from the sunlight to come into the earth, but prevent it from going back. So they form like a blanket at the atmosphere. They lead to a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect, which now leads to the global warming, an aspect of climate change. Like, for example, now the high regions in the Europe, like the UK, they're experiencing high temperatures. We could attribute that to issues of greenhouse effect. The melting of the glaciers here in Mount Kenya is the global rise of temperature as a result of greenhouse gas effect. And by the way, is the current situation of weather, even in Kenya, that we are facing seasons that are shifting by themselves, an effect of greenhouse gases?
Not an effect of greenhouse gases. Shifting of weather is an effect of climate change itself, not greenhouse gases. We call it unpredictable weather patterns. And we say that for you to really say that the weather is changing as a result of climate change, you have to have data for around 30 years, or rely on the local indigenous knowledge for people who have been there more than 30 years to really tell you that between March and June we used to receive a lot of rainfall, but right now it's now shifting to dry months. So changing of weather is not as it's greenhouse gases contribute a bit less, but the whole phenomenon of unpredictable weather patterns is a result of the entire phenomenon of climate change.
Okay, I'm getting that. And the Green Educational Day.
Yes.
Looking at matters of population.
Yes.
We are the youth. We are people who are supposed to multiply.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I'm looking at population growth as something that is also affecting climate change.
Yes.
You're not a population multiplication expert, but I'm going to ask you as a climate expert.
Yes.
How do we go about this as the youth?
Yes. We can't control population even if we tried what measures. But I think what we need to change is our practices. We need to shift to more sustainable lifestyles. In lifestyles, I'm saying we adopt smart agriculture practices. Practices that do not cause harm to this buffer zone we are calling the forest, the riparian zone, the wetlands. We need now to focus more on issues of clean energy to reduce our emissions, because people will develop, the population will increase, but if we adopt the sustainable practices, relying more on under the guidance of the international conventions like the Paris climate, like the Kyoto protocol that was there to guide on reduction of emission, or the sustainable development goals, the 17 of them that articulate issues that humanity must adopt to achieve sustainable development. So it's all about changing our lifestyles.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I'm getting very much enlightened, and I'm going to ask you, the Green Education Hub, is it only the day of the Green Education Day? Is it only open to KU students? Are you inviting other people? Can anybody else come and get enlightened?
Yeah, sure. Tomorrow will be the first Green Education Day, and we will mark it every last Friday of the month. And tomorrow we are privileged to host several students from other universities. We have, for example, JKUAT, we have Egerton, we have the African Nazarene, we have University of Nairobi. So it's not only close to the Kenyatta University community. We are also hosting NGOs like the Environmental Institute of Kenya, the Spicy Warriors. So we don't want the climate change advocacy or awareness or practical issues to be within KU. We are saying KU, let it be a role model with a vision of rolling it out to other institutions and rolling out to the community. Yeah, KU is just taking the front seat in showing others that higher institution of education can participate in climate action. Yes.
Indeed, a first seat, a first step in climate change.
Yes.
Hashtag Green Education Day. I believe that's what will be running tomorrow on Twitter, trending all over.
Yeah.
Hashtag Green Education Day. You just had it. And thank you so much, Jeremy. You know, for that moment, what you've given us is priceless.
Yes.
And since it will be like constant online, it is a very good call. In fact, you are a young tech. And the fact that you're already in the course is something that is very encouraging.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah, and you are invited tomorrow too.
Of course. Event. Okay. Of course. Okay. All right, we take another short break right here on KUTV Primetime News. You have been enlightened. Stay tuned. You'll be enlightened even more.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi kukufuku. Pepo pani idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Ukiwa na dukuduku la michezo, tunafungua sanduku la dukuduku kwa ufahamu zaidi. Kila danadana, mitimko, mifiatuko na harakati zote ugani, sisi ni wako mwandani. Kukurukakara zote nyanjani, haziwezi kuangaziwa zaidi ya micharazo michezoni. Mimi mwanaspoti wako matata Peter Pinches Mwaora, ndakuwa na jopo lenye maarifa sufufu, nikufahamishe na nikuburudishe wewe shabiki shakiki kwa uhakiki na kindakindaki.
Thank you for staying tuned to KUTV Primetime News. Now, in the recent times, the cost of living has been on an upward trajectory attributed to the inflation rate. And as Omondi Otieno narrates, a majority of Kenyans are now forced to dig deeper into their pockets to pay for basic commodities, especially foodstuffs.
They say change is inevitable in every life dimension, and so is the Kenyan economy. It has become a new normal for the citizens to dig deeper into their pockets to meet their daily needs. These are the ripple effects of the increase in the price of fuel, which has seen the basic commodities also increase in prices.
Maisha ni ngumu sana saa hii, especially mtu mwenye afanye kazi. Kama sasa mzee kama mimi, nitatoa wapi pesa sasa? Hata kupanda gari ni shida. Inabidi natembea karibu kilomita 10 ndio niweze kupanda gari.
Hili jambo la mambo ya shida ya chakula najua imegusa watu wengi sana. Lakini mimi nimeona kulingana na vile mwelekeo ya ile shida ambayo inatoka, source ya hii shida ni kwa sababu ya uongozi ambaye sio bora.
Although the problem of food scarcity is a global issue owing to the effects of climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Kenyans are challenging themselves and the government to make efforts ensuring there is enough local production to cater for the needs of the citizens.
When it comes to food production, I believe ikiwa watakaa pamoja wajadiliane na wasaidiane vile wataweza what do you call it? Kitambo tulikuwa na ile kitu inaitwa barter trade, si ndio? What I have in excess, I can give to you in exchange for this. If they can create such a system, hii shida ya chakula kutakuwa.
We have to prepare ourselves as a country so that next time we don't have to depend entirely on imports. We need to do our agriculture right.
Ahead of the August general elections, Kenyans are banking their hopes on the government that will take office to help solve the myriad of challenges they are facing. They have faulted the sitting government for raising the debt ceiling, which is seen as much burden to the citizens. The coming administration has been eyeing to enact better policies for the posterity of the nation.
The places we are supposed to be agricultural remain agricultural. Places which are asshole and places like Nairobi, people stay there. They leave the places to be. Otherwise, we are rudderless, we are directionless. We just talk too much. We don't have clear sense of direction where we want to take this country to.
Let's go back to our roots. What went wrong? Tunafaa tukae sana tujiulize ni nini wapi tulikosea, where did we go wrong, so that we can start from there.
It is a situation Kenyans have to deal with, the ever-rising cost of living. Besides the clarion call for the government to make things easier, Kenyans are also challenged to embrace production to ensure there is sufficient produce. Omondi Otieno, KUTV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Amondi Otieno, for that report of concern. Now, Embu Deputy County Commissioner Mercy Gatobu has seized a whole of assorted illegal alcoholic drinks and arrested 3 people following a tip-off from residents just days after Murang'a County Assembly enacted a bill to strengthen the fight against alcoholism. Gloria Modoni was on location and filed this report.
Security agencies in Embu West Sub-County have seized the whole of assorted illegal alcoholic drinks at a residential home in Gatondo village of Itabwa sub-location, where 2 young women and a man were arrested in connection with the liquor consignment after they were found cleaning bottles in readiness for packaging. The suspects arrested are expected to assist in unmasking the owner of the premise, as security organs believe they are the leader of an illicit liquor manufacturing unit. Some of the goods netted, according to Area Deputy County Commissioner Mercy Gatobu, included the tin crates of assorted liquor, 22 jerrycans filled with clear liquid suspected to be ethanol, a canter truck, and a saloon car believed to have been used to transport the liquor, which were towed away by the police.
At around 11:30 today, the security committee got an intelligence report through our officers on the ground that some illicit liquor was being produced in this area, and immediately we came here and managed to come into a building that you can see behind us, and actually we found the brewing taking place. I mean the bottling. We have 3 people whom we have arrested who are busy washing the bottles, ready for bottling.
Julius Kiumbule thanked members of the public for the intelligence information that assisted them to make the breakthrough in the war against illicit liquor and contraband goods.
So what I would like to say is that we are really appreciating what the members of the public are doing to us by just telling us where certain items and other brewing which is taking place within our areas of jurisdiction. We would also send a word of warning to all those people that we know what they are doing, and in most cases we will just catch up with them and take the necessary action, that's taking them through the court process so that they face prosecution for what they did.
The biannual NACADA report of 1st January to 30th June 2021 states that counties leading in illicit alcohol seizures were Kisii County with 389,346 litres, followed by Nyamira County with 165,579 litres, and Kericho County with 156,381 litres. Embu County came in 25th with 3,504 litres. The OCPD said they will continue sustaining the crackdown because such unscrupulous traders are offering the market nothing but poison. Gloria Njoroge, KUTV.
Mombasa High Court has ruled that the Catholic Church must hand over the sacred group of schools to the Goan Indian community. And on another report, MPs now want the amount of funds allocated to the National Government Constituency Development Fund upscaled to cover new projects and more. This and more as we run through the devolved units in the county news wrap by Pauline Joy.
The Catholic Diocese of Mombasa has up to 1 year effective from the 1st February 2022 to cease operations and management of the giant group of schools called Mombasa Sacred Heart Schools following Justice Sila Munyao's judgment. Elsewhere, Gichugu MP Robert Githinji now wants the funds allocated to the National Government Constituency Development Fund to be increased to cover new projects. Speaking at St. Thomas Mburi Primary School, where he commissioned 2 classrooms under NGCDF, MP Robert Githinji said majority of Kenyans want more funds allocated to the kitty to cater for the vast needs it covers in the grassroots.
Population kubwa kama hapa kwetu huwa haitoshi, na ni vizuri hiyo pesa, na nafuatilia sana hiyo inagawa kulingana na wingi wa wanafunzi, wingi wa watu. Lakini hilo sio jambo la kikatiba. Hilo ni jambo ambalo tumekuwa tukisukuma pale mbunge, isipokuwa tumekuwa tukipata upingamizi kutoka sehemu zenye zina watu wako ama hawana population kubwa kama huku kwetu.
In other news, Narok South Deputy County Commissioner Mr. Felix Kisalu has urged youth from Narok County to turn up in large numbers in donating blood to the Red Cross, with the society also urging more people to embrace the blood donating exercise so that they are able to conduct more first aids.
Kwa wakitusaidia kutoa damu kwa hospitali zetu. Tumeweka mikakati ya kuweza kupata damu nyingi katika hospitali zetu. Pia tumeweka mikakati ya mafunzo ya first aid katika barabara zetu ambapo huwa zinapata ajali, ndio vijana wa bodaboda na wale makanga na madriver wakuwe na ujuzi wa kuweza kuokoa maisha.
Blood donation of which Narok imekuwa na accidents mingi sana na tunakosa damu. Kwa hivyo tunahamasisha wakazi wa Narok County, tafadhalini muwe mkidonate blood. Mkituona hapo Naivas, mkitupata referral, tunawaomba damu, muwe mnatusaidia, muitikie wito wetu wa kusaidia hospitali yetu kwa damu.
The mission of the Red Cross is to alleviate human suffering and protect life and health. Joy Pauline, KUTV.
Okay, and that report from Pauline Joy flags us off to our second break right here on KUTV Kenya Prime. We'll be back in a moment.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
We bring you an embedded system software engineer who has come up with 2 innovations to help your life become even much easier.
For an embedded systems engineer, you like an assimilation of both, but now for smaller systems. These slots that are at the top are meant for other fixtures. For example, you can have a loading arm, or you can have maybe a rising plug. So what this one is supposed to do is that for embedded systems that you have something, for example, like a milk ATM, for example. Now you need to be able to initiate payments for that one directly.
Okay, we flag off the sports segment on a fast turbocharged beat as His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta earlier today flagged off the 2022 World Rally Championship at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. During his speech, Uhuru said that Kenya will host the World Rally Championships for the next 5 years. Our sports correspondent Faith Mocheche has the details.
World Rally Championship saw competitors battle it out at Kasarani Special Center before proceeding to Naivasha for the big event.
We sealed with the International Automobile Federation, and as per this agreement, we will as a country be staging this event every year until 2026.
Kenyatta flagged off the first 10 rally cars, including Kenyan teams and the world-renowned French megastars Sebastian Ogier and his co-driver Sebastian Loeb, who are gracing the iconic Kenyan fixture for the second time. The head of state echoed on the importance of peace and dignity as the Safari Rally is happening during the election period.
This year, the rally comes amid the political din of an election year, but it also reminds us that competition is not enmity, that we can strive against each other but accept the outcomes with dignity and with grace.
On her part, Sports CS Amina Mohamed lauded the government for ensuring that the global event came back to Kenya after 19 years of missing in action.
Excellency, I'd like to recognize all the drivers that are here, the foreign drivers and the Kenyan drivers, and to thank everybody for turning up in such large numbers to honor our heritage, which is the Safari Rally. But Your Excellency, the only other thing that I want to say is to honor you, to thank you for everything that you have done to bring the Safari Rally back.
The International Automobile Federation FIA President Mohamed Sulayem encouraged regional competition to embrace the sport.
For the sport to continue to grow and to be accessible to more and more people, the success of regional competitions is crucial, and we are proud that the African Rally Championship is going strong and providing a platform for not just drivers to develop their new skills, but also engineers, mechanics, logistics people, and more besides.
Competitors in the race are expected to brace themselves for the bumpy and dusty roads, exotic African wildlife, and unpredictable weather changes. The competition will culminate on Saturday. Faith Mocheche, KUTV Sports. World Rally Championship saw competitors battle it out at Kasarani Special Center before proceeding to Naivasha for the big event.
We sealed with the International Automobile Federation, and as per this agreement, we will as a country be staging this event every year until 2026.
Kenyatta flagged off the first 10 rally cars, including Kenyan teams and the world-renowned French megastars Sebastian Ogier and his co-driver Sebastian Loeb, who are gracing the iconic Kenyan fixture for the second time.
Okay, thank you.
The head of state echoed on the importance of peace and dignity as the Safari Rally is happening during the election period.
This year, the rally comes amid the political din of an election year, but it also reminds us that
Elsewhere, the Kenya national judo team coach Joseph Mboro is optimistic of a podium finish at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games. The sport has been classified as a compulsory game in the Commonwealth Games, where only two players, Kevin Munangwe and Kenya's top judoka Perista Bosire, will represent Kenya. The Kenyan team is in its final preparations at the Moi Sports Center Kasarani ahead of the competition that has attracted 71 countries. Athletics Kenya is set to conduct a national trials for a team that will present Kenya in both the World Athletics Championship slated for the 15th to the 24th of July this year, and also the Commonwealth Games, which are set to tee off on the 28th of July in Birmingham. A total of 175 athletes from tomorrow and Saturday will prove their worth in the Moi Sports Center Kasarani Stadium. The first two athletes to cross the finish line will book a slot to go to Oregon, USA for the World Athletics Championships or go to the Commonwealth Games. And finally, the primary and secondary school games are set to start on a return from the 30th of June this year for the grassroots level on to the 7th of July, where the national levels will take place at Kigari Teachers Training College. At the same time, the events for special needs learners are planned for Machakos Teachers Training College. According to a letter from the Ministry of Education sent to the region, sub-county and county education directors, the championships will only feature athletics due to the short academic calendar. Strict COVID-19 protocols are expected to be adhered to during the games. The championships had earlier reached the regional level before sporting activities in schools were suspended in March 2020 due to COVID-19, but failed to resume in the primary and secondary levels. Alright, and that's all we had for you right here on KUTV Primetime News. Thank you for your valued company, and on behalf of the whole team involved in the production of tonight's broadcast. It's a big thank you even to the technical team, Jacinta Wamboi, Wambua, Dominic, and Martin K. Mutegi. My name is Emmanuel KUTOSI, and in the sign language interpretation, I was sailing through with Sharon Wamboi. Have a pleasant night.